Thank you. Thank you, Randy. You're welcome. I'm here today for a number of reasons. First and foremost, our new chairman thanked me in our first conversation. We'd never spoken before. He expressed his thanks on behalf of his constituents, I guess, and perhaps his family, and himself personally. And he was referring, of course, to our recent legal scuffle with the APA. It's not possible to live in the North Country without some sort of attitude towards the APA. Ours is respect. Let's be clear about that. There are people who think I've done a great job of trying to destroy the APA. The opposite is the case. When you meet with a public body, whatever that public body may be, your greatest assistance to that public body is constructive criticism. Telling them what they want to hear won't bring progress. Telling them what they do not wish to hear may bring progress. Today we heard from Christy Sprague. My first encounter in this community of any consequence was with a DA 4 DAs back who declined to prosecute manslaughter in Wadhams. I knew nothing about it. I was called by people in this community, one of whom lives now in the Philippines. Subsequent calls confirmed the facts. I called the publisher of the New York Times. A huge spread was results, and nothing changed in this community. Nobody reads the New York Times here. We need the press. Those of you who sit here and perform such incredibly important services, and who do so honorably, will be aided by an honest press and by honest disclosure to the press. This is most important, and it is lacking in Essex County. And I say this with great respect. I've just observed this initial mission here for the first of this year, and I have great respect for every one of you. We may not agree on some things. I'm not a party man. I'm not in politics, and I never will be. I did run for high school class president in 9th grade. But in any event, I applaud Sharon Boysen coming to her first public meeting as an elected official. This lady got elected in our town. Nobody heard of her a year ago, unless they bought a dress in her shop. But I'm sure she'll do a great job. And I'm sure this chairman, from just 2 conversations, and what I saw here this morning, and what I saw in Christy Sprague, these are really good people. They will do a really good job. But as a citizen, it's my job to help them. And that doesn't mean telling them what they want to hear. And for those of you who don't serve here, and for those of you who do, the collective has to help. And we have to help by informing the press. We have good press here. There's a free newspaper that circulates to 68,000 people in this region. There are several dailies. They all do their best. There are weeklies. I personally have no interest in the 501c3 newspapers. They come with advocacy. So I thank you for your public service. You thank me, I thank you. This board is now changed. There are people here who haven't served in this capacity before. There are women on this board. 7 if my count's correct. I've been married for almost 50 years to a lady whose childhood began up here 62 years ago. Now, we're going to head into some impossibly difficult times. I want you to memorize the following word: deflation. That's where every dollar you have buys more and more each day, not less and less. Inflation, your dollars buy less. Deflation, bonds, stocks, residential and commercial real estate. It's all there. I called it years ago, and it's coming, which is one of the reasons why we came here. We are going to live in the most difficult times. Your grandparents will remember what it was like. Well, your grandchildren will hear from you what this is going to be like. So I'm offering my help, as I have to the APA without much response, in the form of criticism, and here are some of my criticisms of you, and not you personally, but the function you perform. I'm pleading for more openness here. In 1998, without a lot of thought, we, that is Barbara and I, offered a substance abuse treatment center to take place over sort of in Essex and Williamsburg and that sort of thing. It was a $15 to $20 million projection. We had spoken to the landowners. Substance abuse is a problem throughout the United States and throughout the world. My vision was this place becomes the mecca for treatment with people who have some addiction issues. Now, I have addiction issues. All of us have addiction issues of one type or another. But some of them render us incapable of functioning. That center for adolescents and for adults would have, could have, and should have helped people with substance abuse issues. With what I heard from this chairman, and by the way, from his vice chairman, we have also had a conversation. From what I heard from Ron Briggs about the vice chairman, and what Ron tried to do when he sat here for 3 terms, I don't know why we shouldn't revisit that. The guy's not in love with his land. The county home is owned by a so-called do-gooder. I sold it to him, but not from me, from Daytop Village. And I wouldn't bring Daytop in here. So that's a concern. We've been attacked twice by the APA. We're running an organic farm. We have the potential, completely unrealized, of earning 7 figures a year on that farm. Projections are good. Results are terrible. Won't go there. Now, in the interests of disclosure, and I say this with great respect for our county manager and for the clerk of the board, in one family alone in this community, Palmer and their relations, there are a great many employees in Sprague's office and in other offices. I submit that each one of these people is probably a devoted public servant and as honest as the day is long. But what did Mark Twain say? I trust everybody. Cut the cards. We cut the cards with disclosure. We publish who's serving in these jobs. We publish their relationships. There is no more devoted public servant and no man in this county I trust more than Joe Provencha. Let Joe Provencha prepare the lists. Let those who have relations that cross functional accountabilities publish their existence. If you serve on the county board, if you serve as its clerk and you're married, I wouldn't have known it, and I don't care if they are. I'm delighted if they want to serve and they do their job well. But we have a right to know, and we should know, and it's an affirmative obligation of this body to publish these relationships. You must do this. You will earn the public's trust in doing so. And in what we're about to go through, trust will be our most important asset. We don't have that at the Federal Reserve. Now, the chairman mentioned cost cutting. As one who was in charge of cost cutting at Merrill Lynch at one point, I can tell you how you do it. You look at every single function and you make it justify itself on its own bottom. Horace Nye has been mentioned. I've been in the building, I've donated to the building, my time, assets, piano, music. I mean, it's something to see that place, just as I've done the prisons. I don't know whether it should be privatized or not. I haven't the vaguest idea, but I know one thing. If we're going to put our parents and our grandparents in that and other like facilities around the state, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put them in there with their assets and not strip their assets before they go there. Methodically, and perhaps in accordance with law, we are stripping the assets of our old people, thus giving incentive to put them in places like this, not keep them at home, and then put them there on the public dole. You cannot run one of these facilities, whether private or public, if those who have saved all their lives are stripped of their savings and the savings end up in another generation. We have examples of that right here on this board.